All right, I think Zoom's doing its cloud recording thing, so we'll take advantage of this. And um, my name's Leif. I'm here to present Ozone and their amazing expertise on character design and rigging. And I want to hand it off to maybe Rich to give a little introduction of what Ozone is about, their background of their team, and we can start kicking it off with some questions after that. Hey, Rich.
Excellent. Yeah. So Ozone, our company is a rigging technology company. So a lot of us, and I'll let everybody introduce themselves, but we spent time at Pixar and other studios as rigging artists. And in around 2018, I left Pixar and started an education company called Kitestring, with the idea of teaching rigging and thinking about rigging differently. And then a few years into that, decided that without a way to do things differently, it was kind of hard to teach different ways of thinking about characters. So Ozone got its birth out of that, which was a modern character solution that allow you to build your character once at the highest possible quality and then animate that wherever we ported our plugin. So this allows you to build your character once and animate it anywhere. That's the short version of that. But my career, I spent 13 years at Pixar as a character artist, Rhythm and Hues before that, and then ESC before that, working on the Matrix sequels. I had a life in Orlando, but I've been in characters and rigging career graphics for 30 plus years. And I'm the head of product and one of the founders at Ozone. And then Jason, introduce yourself. Well, Bickerstaff, Jason Prime.
I'm Jason Bickerstaff. I'm a character guy at Ozone. I do primarily art related things there, although I do a fair bit of application design too. We clash over interface design and all kinds of ways of doing things better. Before Ozone, I was at Pixar for 22 years as a character artist there. Also spent some time in lighting, but primarily it was character modeling and rigging, and also did a few stints in the art department doing character design. And yeah, before that at a tiny little VFX studio in New Mexico, but that was like over 30 years ago. So
We is old.
it's been
Mr.
a long
Davies.
time.
Well, thanks for the intro,
Davies, it's
guys.
your turn.
I want to encourage everyone as well and to kind of put their cameras on, or else it's going to look a little lonely in the recording. So that way we get to see you guys and we can interact. It becomes a little bit more human. So, anyways, wanted to throw it out there.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
and that,
I see us every day. We
yeah.
want to see you.
And
We need
then
these
just quickly,
faces.
we
Yes.
we have Jason Davies, also an amazing sculptor, rigging artist. Spent you were at 13 years at Pixar, and then Blue Sky. Why don't you introduce you?
Oh, hi, Jason Davies. 4 years at Blue Sky, 14 at Pixar. Started out wanting to be an animator, and then
Was cured of that.
well, I was like, well, this isn't tedious or frustrating enough. So then I went to rigging. Uh, so no, yeah. Yeah, Pixar was in the character department, did a lot of character modeling, character rigging, tool development, scripting, and then occasionally got loaned out to the sets department to write tools and stuff for them. So yeah, that's that's kind of it.
Yeah, Brad's got internet issues, but he product manager, but he's also our head of education and training. He had a life as a rigging artist out, and we call it quote unquote the real world, the not non-Pixar big studio world. Worked in games, game production, mocap, and all that. So he has a lot of really strong technical character expertise. And part of and we've got Kai here who's listening in. He's a product owner and manager and heck of a web developer. So the team here is we've got a lot of diversity in the type of rigging and character art, if you will. I think Jason Bickerstaff, for instance, one of his superpowers is taking 2D art and turning it into 3D. Is probably the best in the business that I know. Davey's having the breadth of understanding of from sculpting to building tools for characters, has a real wide view of the character process. I tend to spend more of my time in the technical building the rig components. That's kind of where my skill, my sweet spot there. And Brad's sort of a generalist in the building motion rigs to put to characters and get things moving around. We all kind of have experience, whatever. So anyway, there's a lot of knowledge here that can help, and that's why we wanted to come be a part of this. Is from anybody wanting to think about designing of characters to implementing to posing to rigging and whatever, we can help. So anyway, that's where we are, and that's who we are. So we're ready for whatever questions you may have about your projects, and maybe we can help.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for the great introductions. A lot of amazing character design experience mixed with the rigging animation. Like that's like the holy grail of what makes a good character, right? Like it's got to move right, it's got to have the right joints, it's got to do the thing, but it's got to have the personality, it's got to have the right silhouette, right? It's got to have the right pose to tell the story, and that's such a wonderful thing. So, generally we kind of get started with people raising their hands. Maybe they want to show their entry. People are in different time zones. We generally want to prioritize folks that maybe it's a little bit later for them. So I'll leave it up to, we'll give it about 30 seconds for folks to start raising their hand, maybe showing their entry. If not, we can start picking at random to see who wants to show it. So
raise your hand or we'll pick it for you.
it always seems to work, but
yep.
Nobody wants to be first.
Wow.
So believe me, you'll be glad if you are.
That's right. All the attention.
The longer you wait, the more tense it gets.
So. All right. Well, I have been seeing this really cool entry by Noemie. So I think we should see Noemie's entry because she's got this really cool, adorable alien with these dreamy eyes looking at dreaming of traveling. And I was wondering if you'd help us show it, and we can talk about it a little bit.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you, guys. Nice to meet you.
To meet you too.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Can you see it?
Absolutely. Very cool.
Right, so just let me go on my last frame. Yep.
We can see your ZBrush. Yes, and now perfect. Now we're seeing the character in the frame.
And
excellent.
This is it. Yeah, so
really cute.
Thank you. I tell you about my story maybe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Please.
Yeah, I just have a problem with my microphone. Just 2 seconds, sorry.
We can hear you well, so.
Okay, so sorry, my story took place on an alien planet. It's about this alien child who is dreaming on going on Earth. So because this planet is so like desertic, he wants to go on Earth to discover the ocean. So this is why there is a lot of objects linked to the sea next to him. We can see like sea shelf and like a flip-flop or sea star, a bottle, some stuff like this. Starfish, sorry. I'm French, so my English is not perfect, so sorry.
No, it's okay.
I can't hear you, guys. Tu peux remettre le son, chérie, s'il te plaît?
Mais il va y avoir un nouveau.
Pas grave. So sorry, I have some thanks.
You have some echo going on, but yeah.
So sorry, I need to. I'm going to take my earphones. So sorry, guys. I'm coming right back.
No problem.
This is a really cool image. she's been improving the silhouette of the character and how it's posed to kind of grab those items. Here we go. AirPods will never fail, right?
Never.
Sorry.
Never seen that happen.
Ah,
Can you hear us?
Tu les entends pas?
no.
Don't click on the AirPods to Felix. I don't think those are your AirPods.
Just handing you over.
I'm so sorry, guys. I don't
Perfect.
feel you, but now it's okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
We are good now.
Great.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay. We are okay.
You're gonna have to turn off or close the window. There you go. Perfect.
There you go.
All right.
So like, I don't hear Jason kind of, you're the design guru, but
Oh, boy.
basically the first thing that I see in this is you've got something that's very organic and kind of, not it doesn't feel mechanical except for where you've got things like this, right? Everything else seems very organic and rocky, and like the posts on the eyes, to me, that would be something where if you added a little variation, made it feel a little less mechanical, it would fit and flow the character a little bit better. Just as my first glance. Again, Jason's the designer in the group, but that's the first thing that's done. It's absolutely cute. I love the pose. But I
Thank
think
you.
those little details might help keep the character within itself be a little more consistent.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very like the stalk that goes from the head up to the base of the eye, instead of like and Rich, this might be what you're hinting at. Instead of just a straight up tube, maybe like bias the top or the bottom, to change the
Yeah.
change the thickness a bit. I mean, I love the design. I love the design. It's a nice mixture of like shape and high frequency detail, kind of just like moved around nicely. Like a lot of times you'll see characters either have no it's a very kind of smooth formless thing with no detail somewhere, or it's all detail. Like a lot of game art I can't stand because it's just a it's just a fire hose of high frequency detail. Like the surface of a character looks like the surface of like the Star Destroyer in Star Wars. It's just endless detail. But a nice mix of that, like putting it where it counts, is really nice. Like I love the detail around like the little crackly stuff around the lips, and then
Me
the
too.
little like scales that break up the smoothness around the eyes gives it like it hints at this is like a crustacean character, but it doesn't bombard you with the details. You can still read things very nicely. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
it's
I like it.
solid, absolutely.
I understand that this is still blocking and you haven't done anything with the shaders, but you just keep in mind that when you're doing your final, just to do something to kind of help pull the arm out from the background.
Yeah.
Because right now, I mean, I know it's temporary, but that's just one thing you need to make sure that you do, because this silhouette is basically human shaped, but there is a lot of high frequency stuff, and you need to be careful in lighting to make sure that you can pick that out, that the silhouette reads a little bit better and separate it from the background. Also, I would be a little bit concerned with just the placement, the blocking of some of the objects. You've got some tangents here. Things are almost touching, but not quite. And there's a little bit of tension visually in there. So maybe you can do this by overlapping the shapes or using lighting to really pull it out from the background, or just maybe move some of the elements in your composition around just a little bit so that these things aren't drawing my eye. quite so much.
I understand.
That one, especially with the corner of the board, is literally right in the middle of the frame, and all I want to do is just look at like, it's not quite touching, but it's almost touching. It's yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
The character design is really cute. I like it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I need to pay attention about these details, and I think Leif already told me that I need to focus on the lighting to make it more more like visible, just to think about his silhouette. So yeah, I need to do something about it, and thank you for your other advice. I will check the antenna to make it more organic. Yeah, thank you.
And maybe give it a little thickness so it feels like it's got the strength to hold the larger eyes up too. And maybe even little things, right? Is maybe not have them be exactly parallel, a little, again, just a bit of an adjustment, or even maybe just forward and backward too.
Yeah.
Again, little things like that make things not seem so mechanical and what is clearly a really organic thing.
Yeah, it might be.
Now I know we're not. Oh, go ahead.
It might be interesting to pull some things from nature. I'm having a hard time, but I'm sure somebody here has a kind of a frame of reference of what lives with rocks, at least in, like in our world here. Not that this is an alien planet, anything goes, but it isn't like that particular tendril, like Rich was pointing out, looks like it's in the script right now. It's not described properly. It just looks mechanical within the rock. But we could probably look at examples within nature. It could be more crustacean. It could be something else that, semi-organic. It could be like, I don't know, maybe like more molten rock, like when lava forms and crystallizes into like this like little more molten rock that's more flexible. But yeah, or maybe just go all out in that this is more of a mechanical and rocky thing mixed. But when you get to texturing it, maybe some ideas might come out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great work though. Really, really solid.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And can I ask a question before you stop sharing? Rich, you guys talk about high frequency detail, and while I think I understand what you're talking about, can you just run that like I'm 5?
The old word for these, what Davies was saying was like nernies, right? Like lots of little physical things that lay across a surface is one way to think about that. But it can be in texture too. It just means that it's okay to give your eye a break and not have so much detail that you're trying to define stuff and you lose the shape in it. If you look at I don't know, Dave, you want to talk about robots from Blue Sky, where it's like you lose the character because there's so much little stuff that you're trying to pay attention that you miss the big picture.
Yeah, and good. An example, like now that you bring up Blue Sky's robots, like there's a lot of those robots read pretty well because the detail was placed sparingly. But then it looks like, but then I think was it the first Transformers, like the first Michael Bay Transformers movie or the second one? They showed the Transformer standing there like that, and you couldn't tell, like as soon as one of the robots moved, your eyes went completely nuts. You couldn't tell what was an arm, what was a leg, what was the head. It just looked like a garbage pile moving around because there's so much detail that your eyes couldn't read it properly. So there's an artist that I really like, Dave Guertin does. He was Creature Box. He was principal artist at Insomniac Games for a long time, and he did a series of illustrations and did a breakdown of a lot of his work, and he goes into detail about like high frequency detail and using it sparingly and putting it where it accents the character and brings visual interest to the character, and where it doesn't. And
Could
you
you
look at a
post
lot
a
of
link
his
to
work,
his
he's
work?
really sure.
Could you find a link and post it in the chat for these guys? Yeah, that'd be great.
Sure.
So in some ways, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go. Go ahead.
So in some ways, too much high frequency detail would become like camouflage, and then the purpose of camouflage is not to be seen in the woods or wherever. Okay, I get it. I
yeah,
think
it's
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
you lose the silhouette really quickly, and that's important in animation. Like a game that came out forever ago, but it's still really visually appealing, is Team Fortress 2. And I watched a thing about the making of that and the characters for it, and they have they have a lineup of all the characters there, reduced to black, and so it's just the outlines of the characters with a white background, and you can read all the characters perfectly. But then like you switch to look at, and there's detail here and there, but it never interferes with the readability or the charm of those characters. But yeah, you're right. That's why all camouflage patterns that are developed are a certain level, like uniform high frequency detail, because you step into a background and the human eye can't read that very well. So people just kind of drop into the background, and that's the point of it. But you don't want that in animation. Like you want it's the balance of like detail to make it interesting and cool, but not make it invisible or hard to read.
Yeah, and if I could pair that, like Jason's comment, with like some geeky anthropology stuff, like our because you mentioned the human eye, right? Like we're uh, from an anthropological standpoint, we're designed mostly to look at motion. So if you're like in the middle of the night and it's very dark and you only have a little bit of moonlight, your ability to see contrast isn't that great. But if you take all noise out, your ability to see motion is really good.
Yeah.
So we don't do very well with a lot of busy, similar-ish contrast. Like for example, this is a very subjective example, but my kids love the two Spider-Verse, right? And who doesn't love those films, right?
Yeah.
In the first one, they could sit through it. In the second one, in the movie theater, I saw them suffering, like literally having to look away down because they couldn't handle the amount of motion in every frame.
Yeah.
Even in conversational situations where you have some just over the shoulder shots, everything was moving. So then your eye gets literally tired because like we have nerves, right? This isn't, this is a still here, so it's not the same thing, but we are drawn to look at the visual interest. It's literally in our DNA to look at motion. That's the way we're wired. So the more detail you see, your eye's going to tend to be there. So you want to put it where it counts, where it's going to help your story and where it won't detract from it. From a more technical perspective, if it's too high frequency, you might get things like moire patterns, where the render is literally having difficulty resolving this detail and putting it inside of one pixel. So it's negotiating these things and it's going to give you some noise. So it's technically important, but most important, it's a very story important thing.
And if I could go back and touch on the sins of robots one more time, part of the reason why also the characters are a little hard to read is because it's based on the work of William Joyce, who is a brilliant illustrator, but he tends to do things with his characters like have elements of the character's face, like the eyes, very small, very far apart. And it gets kind of hard to read exactly where the face is in the overall shape of a character's head. And where, like even the main character, I think, had tiny little eyes that were really, really far apart in this thin little sliver of a mouth. And one of the things that I think actually works really well in this character's design, even though the eyes are really far apart and the mouth is very close underneath, is that the eyes are just so big. You can really see exactly where they're at. And they're also kind of arranged in pairs. So I can see a face unit here, and I can see it here too.
Yeah, it's got a Wally-ish quality to it, like this cute but not quite human thing, which works really well.
Yeah, so I think this is one of those times like when, even though the eyes are kind of all over the place, just the way just their size relative to the overall kind of head unit and where they're arranged, I think is actually working really well.
Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Is there anybody else that has work they want to show?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, amazing work. Thank you.
Thank you, not Felix. Yes.
I give you to Felix now.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm happy to go,
these
actually.
tangents are great. What?
I mean, I'm happy to share as well, if that's okay.
Please do.
course.
Yeah.
Okay, so hang on. Now it's my turn to struggle with the sharing.
And this is great. I mean, it's supposed to be like a larger learning experience, right? So we don't have to show everybody's thing. I think a lot of these comments are going to help everybody. A lot of these things are generalized knowledge that everyone can apply to their amazing work. So, and we've got 4 more meetings after this with Ozone to keep talking about great characters. So,
Okay, so you
okay.
should be seeing my latest
Yeah, we are.
image. So very briefly, this is the story of an alien stumbling upon this aquarium in like a child's bedroom, and he's just fascinated by this goldfish, and I like to think that he's found his long lost distant relative or something, and he's just amazed by this tiny creature that we take for granted. So yeah.
Looks good. I like it.
I see you've applied some of the feedback we saw in one of our last meetings.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, from a lighting perspective, I think, and we're not talking about this particularly, but it's probably getting a little hot around the goldfish.
Definitely too much, yeah.
It is separating the foreground from the background, but that's probably not where you want to be. You could change that gravel to be much darker so that our focus is here where the story is happening in the middle of the frame.
Yes. The adding those stains has considerably darkened the alien, so I do need to work on that lighting again. But
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want the focus to be on the backside of the fish. So that
And you can do some cool things in RenderMan, like adding a light filter and you put it in the bottom of your gravel, you know. You can also add like moss with Pixar dirt on your gravel, just darken the whole thing a bit. We also spoke about adding like little moss things on the edge of this to make it seem like this is actual glass. And then this top part still is very difficult to differentiate which one is in the water, if they're both in the water. So those are the things that still stick out to me.
Agreed.
Do you have a picture or a design of the character, the alien character, separate from this?
I've actually got my like ZBrush file. If this works for you, I can.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to see. This is where again I'm going to lean on the Jasons for.
I was just going to ask if you could put it in perspective.
Yeah. Like one of the things that immediately struck me is that you have sort of an eyelid structure here, but this eye is just stuck into the head. Like I would expect some kind of a lid, and this is where I was going to ask Jason, like, would we expect some kind of place for the eye to collapse? Like I don't know what you know the anatomical term for the corner of the eye, but is that something we'd want to hint here, or is it better to keep it round?
I don't know. I mean, this has to live in the context of the final image. Can we see your render again?
Yeah, of course.
This is what I was looking at like this. It's being super round and not having any kind of hint of where a lid would move. Maybe it doesn't. Fish have like a second lid, right? That comes up out under.
They don't have any lids.
Yeah, they're quite weird. They look sort of stuck onto the head oddly enough.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'm okay with it. The thing that I think a lot of the comments that I have about the image are mirror a lot of what Leif said earlier. When I saw this before, I had a hard time figuring out what was going on, just because I understand that the alien is kind of fish-like, but there wasn't it wasn't immediately obvious to me that they weren't both in an aquarium. So something to try and separate the alien a little bit more from the aquarium. I think some of the noise up at the top from the reflection of the water surface, you know, in through here. It's a little noisy. Also, he gets kind of, his shape here gets kind of lost just from the lighting. Maybe something to try and help bring out his silhouette a little bit more, so it's obvious that it's not a fish. Yeah, think about ways that you can separate the water environment from the outside environment and make it a little bit more obvious that we're looking at someone who is looking into the aquarium. And you have the hands on the glass, but there's
I
a
didn't
lot
even
of
notice that. I didn't
intersecting
even notice
shapes.
that.
I didn't
Yeah.
notice it either until now.
I didn't know those were hands.
Yeah. I think
So-
their value should probably be close. And I'm sorry to interrupt, Jason. I just wanted to add that. Yeah.
yeah,
No, it's completely.
sorry, they're a brand new version. I've been having these ones in there that have been in there for ages, but I just did a cleaner, newer version, but they haven't yet been textured, and I think that is just a Pixar surface. So, and I think that lightening like the area that is touching will help sell the effect a tiny bit more. Just I have this image like of, you know, children like touching a glass window where you see like it's like the SSS part of the hand like sticks out more.
I have a question about depth of field here too. Like, you're focusing at the spot in between the two characters and not on the character, is what it feels like to me.
Agreed. Yeah, the focus point is actually on the eye, but I think that just the first of all render quality, like this is just a quick IPR. But
What 3D app are you working with?
sorry,
What 3D application are you working with?
in Maya.
Okay. So, I mean, in Maya and in Blender, we have this way to put like a non-physical way to do this. So you can give it 3 locators, and then you can create a fake plane of focus, basically, so that you have both things, but the rest of the things reasonably physical to the lens. So I'll try to put that information on there, give you a little example.
Thank you.
That'll maybe help you kind of focus those 2 characters. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got a locator in the eye currently, and just I've got that distance, just depth of field distance set in.
Something else that might help, to Jason's point about, like, you know, he's looking into an aquarium. I don't know if it'd be physically accurate, but I think I see some reflection, but having, because the you know, everything else in the tank is kind of muted color, so it might not show up much as a reflection, but the goldfish being very bright orange, having reflection, like just a hint of the goldfish reflected on the glass. I don't know how physically accurate that would be. You might be playing around with physics there. Let me see if I can.
So the fish
annotate.
is actually here, but my
Okay.
plan is to like cheat it and have it. So I've got this quick comp as well with like an
Okay.
old version, but my goal is to have the goldfish in the reflection. So this
Okay.
is like it doesn't work yet, but this is the plan basically.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then so cheating the fish where the fish is, because we can't read it at all at the moment over here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I wonder if skipping, like if you're trying to show that this character is fascinated with the goldfish, having the reflection show up on the eye, but skip the reflection on the tank, which might not be physically accurate, but it's animation, and we mess around with the rules all the time.
Like-
Might help with like show the like, yeah, it might help show the
Like-
character's thoughts.
Like not having this background over here, you mean, and just the fish.
You can still have the background. I could still have the background, but heighten, like maybe show the reflection a little more prominently or a little brighter
Okay.
in the character's eye, just to show that this is something he's fascinated with. Yeah.
Okay.
And just from a sense of value too, like the fish is definitely too hot, but you know, it could be the brightest point. This whole area here, like you could, if we're looking at lighting that's in the background like this, it's hinting at a more kind of night ambiance. And this is just really lit. You know, you could take advantage of more maybe top-down lighting, which is more typical in an aquarium. You could use it to give them a little bit more of a theatrical experience with the lighting, so that you can guide the eye a little bit better, and really focus that middle there.
Currently, the fish and the alien are lit by this single light on the top, and there's like this rim light in the back, and I've got this light influencing this on the alien, but the key light is definitely this one light.
Yeah, that seems excessive. Like, and this is probably because we're insane at Pixar, but like the simplest of shots would be like 200 lights, you know? So, so when I say like art direct this shot so that it looks more like a painting and you're really guiding the eye, imagine that level of kind of minutia per shot at Pixar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean everything at Pixar is split out into separate rigs, right? So you've got the character rig, and each one is going to have their own character rig, and then there's going to be the environmental lighting, as well as all the special lights that you put on the tank. And you know, you can really think about splitting everything out like that. Oh, the noisy bits with where the silhouette of the goldfish is intersecting the hand, and you've got that satellite dish and then the gravel underneath it. That's very, very close in value and color. So one of the ways that you can think, if you're married to these particular shaders and these colors, is how do you layer these elements and have them be distinct from one another, so that they just don't turn into the same shape. If you blur your eyes, it all looks like one mass. So you can do that with value, you can do it with light color, you can do it in a number of ways. But if you kept everything the same color and just changed the lighting to pull the fish forward and knock everything else backward, you wouldn't have to change the local color of anything. It's all just lighting. So think about ways that
to take your comment of blurring, like that's such a good comment. Like that's such an important thing of blurring things, like that we actually have a button for it in Katana at the studio, where you can click a button and the viewer gets blurred and gets black and white, so that you can really tell value. And if you do Jason's trick literally in Photoshop, you'll immediately see, like if you blur things a lot and you put it in black and white, you'll immediately see where your values are at. And you're likely to see the fish and you're likely to see the floor, but you're unlikely to see the alien.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
Currently, I completely agree. Yeah, I think that would be the case. I think this was a bit more clear, but still. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for sharing.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you.
Great
Thanks
work.
for your time.
Fun tangents too. We might have time for one more, and then maybe with some fun generalized comments, and we'll see where that takes us. I want to remind everybody that we do have 4 more meetings, so.
Daria. Or Daria.
Hi. 1 second, I'll share a different screen.
Alright.
So my story is about an artist painting a self-portrait and kind of having the mirror set up for, the self-portrait and not seeing herself properly, but rather as an alien. So the poses mirror each other. And yeah, that's what I have so far. I'm in process of grooming the hair, and the human character in the foreground will be quite a bit out of focus. And then I will be getting to texturing the alien, something inspired by seashells, I would say.
Yeah, I'd love to hear you guys' fresh take on this. We've been seeing Daria's really cool image, and it's been progressing into this fun conceptual image. But it's conceptual in nature, and I'd love to get some fresh eyes to see what you guys think, what it means to you when you see it.
How far along is the design of the alien? We're looking at a blocking model here. Is there a different version in geometry that you're working on that you're going to start texturing, or is this representative of?
This is
see.
generally, it's retopoed. I did not rig it, it's posed in ZBrush, but this is kind of what it looks like. I'm open to tweaking a design as well.
Can we take a look at the image again?
Yes.
So the thing that I would recommend, if eyes are important, I know that this is just a temporary shader and everything is just kind of blending in together. It's just to make sure that you really make it very clear where the eyes are and that they really stand out, because you have this shape over the whole thing. It winds up kind of changing the head silhouette to, it's a very large thing, and the eyes are going to be down here. So make sure that we know exactly what we're looking at, because in that shape, the highest contrast area is actually this negative space, around here. So my eye is kind of drawn towards this area and not so much here. So in order to make those eyes read and kind of give us sort of a landing place to put our eye, I would make sure that those eyes really read.
Okay.
Just a question. There's 3 mirrors. Is there, or 4 actually? I'm wondering if less mirrors might make it more easy to distinguish what the story is.
It might. I used to have way more, and then in another one of those critique sessions, I reduced to 4 from like 7 or 8 mirrors.
Okay. Because I mean, just, and again, take this with grain of salt. Like, to me, if you've got your reflection and you have your painting and you have that seems like a lot, enough to like convey the idea. Because I get lost in like, oh, I'm looking at the backside of this, and I've got this little thing over here. Like, there's a lot of stuff around that's making, kind of taking the moment you're trying to create. It's harder for me to see it.
Okay.
Again, take it as a grain of salt, but like, that's my instinct. I don't know, Jason, your thoughts there, but that was my first instinct. It was like kind of hard for me to tell what was happening.
Yeah, I would have a primary mirror focus your compositionally focus on that, and the other ones, if you want to keep them in there, have them yeah. But I'm trying to think of there's God, I'm trying to think of the artist. It was I think Baroque period. It was a Dutch or French painter I saw that he did a painting of a self-portrait. So there were mirrors in there's one primary mirror, but there was other ones, but you had to look at the painting for a while to realize there were other, like once your focus was on the artist and the painting in the mirror, and your eyes were kind of done with that, it moved on to like, oh, there's other mirrors here too. But I can't remember that artist's name. Art history class was so long ago. But yeah, that one,
I'm looking it up right now. I'm Googling.
That one read really clearly. Because the other mirrors were kind of deep. They weren't too far off to the side, but like they were painted darker, or what they were reflecting was like the dark room behind. So that side of the face was in shadow or something, but it read really well.
Yeah, I think like this mirror in the bottom mirrors what you're saying, right? Like this is not distracting because we're no longer looking at a silhouette of a character. We're looking at a piece of the character. So this image here doesn't fight this image here. Like it doesn't fight the main character, but these two fight this other one. So I love the idea that you're basically proposing maybe to focus on like one of these mirrors should have her reflection, and the other one should be in a way that we see pieces of the reflection, but we only have one that truly makes that connection, right? Conceptually.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm getting at. It might
I would
be
even
the
make this
track.
round one smaller, like maybe put it in the bottom somewhere here, so that we're all focused on this area in the middle. We see this relationship, right? And then I see the same thing as Rich. Like you're introducing a third person, which we don't really know what that means. That it could be solved by making this image significantly more incomplete. So maybe she's starting with the eyes, right? Because then that gives you the conceptual idea that the eyes are the ways to the soul, right? Of like personality. So you could they could be starting with the eyes, and everything else is unfinished paint strokes. So then you're not really introducing a character. The concept of who you are as a person is mirrored in the painting. It doesn't distract from it, right?
Yeah.
And then you're kind of keeping that story. I don't know if maybe I'm paraphrasing and getting too philosophical what you guys are thinking, but I was trying to kind of to put it into some kind of conceptual framework. But I hope it encapsulates reasonably well, maybe what the issues are. But there's
I also wonder if the light source shouldn't be visible. Like that's taking up a lot of like focus. But the lighting can be the same, but maybe not have the light source as prominent or even in the frame at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could almost
I'm
rotate it, right? Like if you rotated it, what would happen? I wonder. Because you'd keep the motivation and you'd keep it slightly there, right?
Yeah, it's like just bringing the mirror idea, making it bigger and more prominent and less noise, and just make it easier to see this again, the story she's trying to tell. Where this feels just sort of, it just feels big and in the frame. It's something I have to consider that I don't think is actually part of the story.
Yeah, it is a very high contrast item, and it does draw your eye over there. I think something valuable might be to just take this image and just do some really rough paint overs in Photoshop so that you can just block out your areas of interest and figure out like what is the primary point of focus in this image, and then how is your eye going to travel across the frame. I mean, a lot of film composition is like that. It's just about making sure that the audience has to do as little work as possible to look at the things that are important in the final image. And think about where do you want us to look first, and then where do we go? I mean, the fact that there's eyes and a human face over here is going to draw a lot of interest, especially right across here.
Mm.
But there's other elements too. It's also, not in the center of the frame. It's kind of dimly lit. I'm of course pointing at my own screen like an idiot. But the fact that, there's a big space here that you can fill with things too. And right now the image is kind of, the attention is drawn to three smaller things, but just just like big blobs of color and just mash it in the frame and just see what you can get there by just taking the elements that you have and maybe rearranging them, or think about where your eye is going.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
You know what? I also just noticed, and I think this might be a recurrent theme today, the hand over here, right? Which is an interesting piece of the equation because she's painting, right? But it's hidden in this silhouette here. What do you guys think of that? How could we approach that silhouette issue over here?
I mean, you could take this hand down, right? So it's not up there. And then you just see this arm with the brush. It would actually show right away that you're trying to paint yourself, and basically make this arm take, have that not just be pull it away. And then the other arm, the painting arm, becomes the focus. And then it would be very obvious to see what she is doing. She's trying to paint herself.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a really great idea, because then you would clean up the silhouette completely and then put that hand with like an intention, right? You'd
see
get an
the action.
intention instead of like this like passive posture, right?
Mm.
Yeah, Kai brings it would be left-handed then. There's also, I mean, you could think about the pose too. I mean, if the intention, I mean, it kind of looks like this with her hand around her chin. It's almost, it's kind of like a passive unconscious sort of gesture. I've been sitting here for a while holding my own head in my hands like this. Whereas if you want her to maybe be considering her own form or the way that she sees herself, it can be sort of like she's testing almost her skin with her hand, maybe to think about changing it so she's actually like maybe feeling her skin or her structure, something underneath. It might end up changing the pose, bringing it over to the side of the head, making it a little more intentional, and also freeing up some space in here for something else. I mean, this is just another idea.
Mm.
And just to speak broadly to the process we're in, right? Always take the feedbacks as like just doing what we can to kind of give you input to make your story better, but you don't have to take it. It's really up to you. And one thing that my time at Pixar was very good about tearing work down, but not people, right? So it's like we're all believe in each other and our talent and everything, and we're just looking at this artwork going, how can we make the artwork better? And that's sort of how we work and move through this space now. Just to kind of say that out loud, I mean, you've done a really good job of building something here, and now we're giving you ideas on how what you've built can take it to the next level and or make changes, but it really is up to you. And I think as an artist, it's always a good idea to separate yourself from your art when you can, so that you can have a clear perspective of the thing you are building versus who you are. And when you get started in CG, it's hard because making anything up on the screen is difficult. So it's sometimes hard to detangle that. When I got started, I did work and I would defend it to the end, even though it was total crap, because took me days to get something up on the screen. But that discipline of going, me and who I am is not my work, I'm just trying to bring something to life. So anyway, I just want to say that out loud, that this kind of thing, I appreciate you guys sharing your work, because it can be scary to do, and just know that we're trying to help make this stuff better. But it's really ultimately your vision and what you want to do with it.
Yeah,
That's
I
wonderful.
appreciate it.
That's a
This is
wonderful.
all hard, and especially when you're doing everything. I mean, you're you're doing the modeling and shading and lighting and comp and everything. So it's even harder. We've had the luxury of being able to specialize for a long time.
Yeah. I can't, no lighting for me, no shading for me. No, I rig, that's it. So one trick pony.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, maybe. So I just have one last thought. Like, I was remembering, I, I, I tried to Google that old painting. I couldn't find it. Maybe I imagined the whole thing. It's been a long time. But something, one thing I was remembering, another self-portrait painting that I think is really effective. If you Google Norman Rockwell self-portrait, and I know his stuff is kind of Americana and whatever, but he was a master of composition. And he has a self-portrait where his, there's the portrait. I don't know why I'm moving my hands like this because you can't see what I'm doing. Anyway, the portrait is in the back, like the actual, like the mirror's off in the distance, the painting's in the middle, and he is in between, like the painting is in between him and the mirror, and he's kind of adjusting his body to look at it. So it's something, and I don't know what the answer is, but something that shows that this painting is in between, like it's an intermediate, yeah, I don't know how to phrase it. I mean, you can see the painting reflected you can see the back of the painting reflected in the mirror, but maybe having those two shapes just overlap each other. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe like some of the background, like some of that stuff we see here in the background, for example, these things could be kind of part of the painting somewhere. Or maybe just a
Yeah.
sketch of that so that we can associate that these two things are alike.
Yeah, maybe make that that mirror that she's looking at, the main one, make that larger, because right now its size is kind of the size of the painting.
okay.
So it might not make realistic sense, but like the mirror is bigger, so you can see more of the background and maybe turn. Yeah. Yeah, it just
Another
looks
good
a
one
little
is to
too.
look at
Yeah.
Las Meninas from Velázquez. Like he's painting a painting, and in the very background, as a conceptual touch, you have his reflection. So the reflection here doesn't have to be the main concept. But again, I think your work and Rich like put it so well, right? It's like we take feedback and we make things, but this particular piece of work is kind of conceptual. It seems more personal. So definitely take these things and run with them if it helps what you're trying to tell. But yeah, we're all struggling with the same. When we create personal artwork, is how much do we take or give to the piece? But we're 2 minutes over, and I just wanted to respect everyone's time. I wanted to thank the Ozone team for being here. They've been amazing at kind of taking all these concepts, distilling them into more generalized ideas, and I'm sure everybody will come out with something fresh from that. So thanks again for stopping by, and look forward to continuous meetings, right? Every Thursday at 9 a.m., right? So
Yeah,
we're doing it. It's going to be great.
excellent. Nice meeting
Bye, guys.
everybody, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for showing.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.